to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Judy Mera delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region on today's headlines. The Philippines can definitely regain control of Chinese-occupied islands in the West Philippine Sea, Malacanang said on Thursday. The U.S. Department of Justice's mushrooming investigation into the scandal-ridden Malaysian State Fund 1MDB has extended to Deutsche Bank to people familiar with the matter, told AFP Thursday. And defense ministers of ASEAN have signed a joint declaration on sustainable security on Thursday to promote cooperation among ASEAN to counter non-traditional transnational threats. The Philippines can definitely regain control of Chinese-occupied islands in the West Philippine Sea, Malacanang said on Thursday. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo made his reaction after the Social Weather Stations, or SWS, released another survey result, showing that 93% of Filipinos believe that it is important that the government regain control over China-occupied islands in the disputed waters. Panelo pointed out that China insists on its 9-line claim, which covers nearly the entire South China Sea, including the Philippine-claimed Panatag or Scarborough Shoal.
Dapat nga 100%. Lahat ng Pilipino dapat would want to have control over the areas that are supposed to be ours. But the reality is, may problema tayo doon. Because China claims to own it too.
Panelo, however, said regaining control may be possible since the Philippines and China continue to engage in bilateral negotiations to resolve the maritime dispute.
Bakit hindi? Sinasabi na nga may negotiations eh. Kung pumayag ang ka-negotiate mo, o di done.
Kung hindi, sir?
Kung hindi naman pumayag, o di mag-usap pa uli.
Asked about the chances that bilateral talks will be effective, Panelo said there is no way to find out unless the government tries. He also insisted that President Rodrigo Duterte will stand pat on diplomatic negotiations to settle the sea row. Meanwhile, he dismissed the idea that the survey results show that the Duterte administration has had a shortcoming in asserting its territorial claims.
Not necessarily. Ang tanong naman is it important? Yun ang tanong Kung yun ang tanong, di siyempre 100% dapat ang sagot yun, yes.
In the survey, 74% of the respondents said it is very important that the control of the islands that China currently occupies in the West Philippine Sea is given back to the Philippines. 19% said it is somewhat important, 1% answered not at all important, and 4% were undecided on the issue. Meanwhile, the United States Agency for International Development gives a 20 million peso grant to Eco-Waste Coalition and Mother Earth Foundation Incorporated in an effort to fight plastic pollution in the country. The grants will promote and expand community-based recycling programs, improve the solid waste management, and support research on plastic waste around Manila Bay.
Sea-based pollution is a priority for everyone. Every year, 8 million tons of plastic waste are dumped into the world's oceans, and they make their way into the fish, which means they make their way into us. We are eating plastic indirectly, and we can do better than that. We can improve that. Unfortunately, the flow of this plastic pollution into the oceans is increasing at an alarming rate, and that creates an urgent challenge for the entire world community. So while this challenge is global, I think what you see in the exhibitions here, what you see in the work of the Philippine government is the solutions can and must be local. They depend on every one of us and on every one of you for the contributions that you're already making. Effective recycling and waste management systems depend on community-led awareness raising and education campaigns. As Brian mentioned, education is critical. Private sector innovations and solutions, and local government support for that ability to collect, to segregate, to manage waste. Solving the problem of the world's oceans requires strong communities, strong local government support, and committed national government support.
First of all, I would like to thank the U.S. government through the USAID for its municipal waste recycling program, whose main objective is to reduce and prevent land-based sources of ocean plastic pollution. Your investment of $1.4 million would surely enable grantees to implement innovative approaches to solid waste management in the Philippines. The first tranche of 4 grants are already directly benefiting over 188,000 individuals. The improved solid waste management services and household level waste management practices. The second tranche of 4 grants, for which I believe is the reason why we are here today, will focus primarily on Manila Bay. This tranche is expected to create cleaner communities for approximately 1.3 million residents in areas where MWRP works. I believe this municipal waste recycling program of the USAID would help the country in reducing significantly its approximately 750,000 metric tons of plastic pollution generated every year.
Although keen on dismissing over 60 Bureau of Customs or BOC employees allegedly involved in corruption, President Rodrigo Duterte on Thursday night said he will still give them a chance to explain in a meeting in Malacanang next week. Duterte bared this a day after he ordered the freezing of customs officials and employees but did not disclose their names.
I can dismiss them. I will be dismissing something like 64 customs employees. In the meantime, that their case are being heard in obedience of the rule of the right to be heard, I want them to be here in Malacanang. You resign or I file charges.
The U.S. Department of Justice's mushrooming investigation into the scandal within Malaysian State Fund 1MTB has extended to Deutsche Bank. 2 people familiar with the matter told AFP Thursday. The big German bank, which announced deep job cuts earlier this week and is embroiled in other high-profile government probes, says it is cooperating with the investigation and maintains that it is a victim in the scandal. The Justice Department is looking into whether Deutsche Bank broke anti-money laundering laws through its work for 1MTB, which included helping the Malaysian fund raise $1.2 billion in 2014. 2 people familiar with the matter told AFP, confirming a report in the Wall Street Journal. Billions of dollars were looted from the Malaysian investment vehicle between 2009 and 2014 and spent on everything from yachts to expensive artwork, in a fraud allegedly involving disgraced Malaysian ex-premier Najib Razak and his cronies. Deutsche is the second big Western bank to be implicated in the scandal. Goldman Sachs is also being investigated by the Justice Department and is fighting efforts by Malaysia to recover billions of dollars that authorities maintain were stolen by the bank. Prosecutors are looking into the role of Tan Boon Ki, who formerly worked as Deutsche Bank's Asia-Pacific head of banking for financial institution clients.
Philippines, Manila or Quezon City is a popular destination. But oftentimes the hustle and bustle of the city can be more stressful on your vacation. So when you feel the need to reconnect to nature or relax again, there's a beautiful oasis just outside of the city called the Garden at Ciudad de Victoria. Some of the species that you can see here include hydrangea, snapdragon, and stargazers. They're truly beautiful. The gardens at Ciudad de Victoria are so peaceful, tranquil, and beautiful that it's become a haven for young couples and a very popular venue for engagement photos. The next time you want an escape from the big city, the garden at Ciudad de Victoria is a wonderful place to visit.
Welcome back. Defense ministers of ASEAN, or Association of Southeast Asian Nations, have signed the Joint Declaration on Sustainable Security on Thursday to promote cooperation among ASEAN to counter non-traditional transnational threats. In Thursday's press conference, Thai Deputy Prime Minister and Defense Minister Prawit Wongsuwon announced that the 13th ASEAN Defense Ministers Meeting, or ADMM, held from Wednesday to Friday has resulted in the signing of the joint declaration. Among the 6 concept papers adopted by the ministers is one covering the terms of references tied to the Our Eyes initiative for sharing strategic information on terrorism and other non-traditional security threats.
ด้านการต่อต้านการก่อการร้ายก็ได้มีการจัดตั้งกลไกอาเซียน Our Eye เพื่อแลกเปลี่ยนข่าวสารทางยุทธศาสตร์ด้านการก่อการร้ายภายใต้กลไกที่มีอยู่ระหว่างประเทศสมาชิกอาเซียนในการ
Meanwhile, Philippine Finance Secretary Mr. Carlos Dominguez III and Asian Development Bank, or ADB, Vice President Mr. Ahmed M. Said on Thursday signed a $1.3 billion loan, the first tranche of a total $2.75 billion facility for the Malolos-Clark Railway project in a ceremony witnessed by Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte at the Malacanang Palace.
Our work in the Philippines has, however, always held a special place in the history of the ADB. Now, under President Duterte's Build, Build, Build infrastructure program, ADB is considerably scaling up its own support to the government for the Malolos-Clark Railway project. As was mentioned by Secretary Dominguez, this will be the ADB's single largest infrastructure project financing ever at $2.75 billion. We are pleased to be supporting this important flagship project in our host country.
The Malolos-Clark Railway is part of the Philippine government's North-South Commuter Railway project, which aims to link a new Clark City to Calamba by 2025. The project will use cutting-edge technology to build an elevated railway line with a maximum train speed of 160 kilometers per hour to help ease the chronic road congestion in and around Metro Manila, reduce air pollution, cut the cost of transport and logistics, and encourage economic growth and a population shift outside the capital. The Japan International Cooperation Agency, or JICA, is co-financing the project with an additional financing of up to $2 billion for the rolling stock and the railway systems. The Malolos-Clark project is a result of close collaboration between ADB, JICA, and the Department of Transportation. During project preparation, a joint technical team from the department and the two institutions conducted regular build meetings with reporting to Transportation Secretary Arthur Tugade. In other news, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell's hint that the Fed's key rates may be due for a cut, possibly this month, boosted the Philippine peso and the Philippine Stock Exchange, or PSEI, Thursday. The local currency ended the day at 51.19 from 51.46 a day ago, which BPI research pointed to Powell's dovish statement during a congressional testimony Wednesday. The Fed chief said that they will act as appropriate to address the impact of the uncertainties in the global economy because of the trade tensions. With investors' sentiment up, the local currency opened the day at better level of 51.3 from 51.405 in the previous session. It traded between 51.19 and 51.34, resulting to an average of 51.259. Volume reached 883.31 million US dollars, higher than day ago's 729.69 million US dollars. The currency pair is seen to trade between 51 and 51.40 on Friday. Relatively, the main equities index rose 0.94% or 76.28 points to 8,154.49 points. All shares increased by 0.73% or 35.80 points to 4,957.97 points. Property led the sectoral indices after it went up by 2.20%, and was followed by the financials, 1.76%, services, 0.83%, and holding firms, 0.22%. On the other hand, industrial declined by 0.34%, and mining and oil 0.26%. Volume reached 1.27 billion shares, amounting to 6 billion pesos. Advancers led decliners at 124 to 74, while 49 shares were unchanged.
Is our most important asset, and it should always be a constant effort. Visit Manila Beijing Medical Associated Incorporated, located at 843B Sabino Padilla Street, Binondo, Manila.
Hi, I'm Joseph Diokson.
Hello, I'm Kieran Martin.
Hi, I'm Ellie Malikdem.
I'm Johnny Bermapiles, Managing Partner of Go Motion Production.
Director of Index Asia.
I'm the Industry Manager for Globe My Business.
President of Mapiles Realty and founder of Jolliver Mapiles Academy.
Let's take part in the celebration of SME Month.
With you for the celebration of the SME Month.
Kami rin po ay kaisa sa pag-celebrate ng SME Month.
I'm inviting you all to participate in the SME Month.
Watch Open for Business.
Manood ng Open for Business.
Watch Open for Business.
Get informed with Open for Business.
Welcome back. Sylvia Bo, a veteran cruise goer, is amazed at the rapid growth of liners over the years. Typical of the new generation of ships is Royal Caribbean's Spectrum of the Seas, custom built for the ASEAN market and billed as the region's biggest cruise ship. The 345-meter or 1,140-foot vessel can carry over 5,600 guests. Entertainment includes simulated skydiving in a wind tunnel, bouncing on a trampoline while wearing a virtual reality headset, and bumper cars, all aimed at increasingly younger generation of cruise goers. Watch this.
We've cruised around the world. We've gone to Panama, we've gone to Eastern, Western Caribbean, we're doing the Mediterranean, which we are going on another newer ship from Celebrity the Age. We can see that the ships are getting bigger, larger, and there are more things like living on the ship is like living, daily living. You can live on a ship for days without getting bored. I think all the high-tech things like the bionic bar and SkyPad, that the laser tag, iFly, and you have all the other activities on board that is attractive enough.
And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Judith Timera, and I'm 1 with 25.